Right, your preparation.
Yes.
So you come in here on the race day and everything seems to flow so easy for you, and you talk about this, you talk about that. Obviously you look at the horses and how they look and how they walk and all of that, but what is your routine? How do you prep for this?
Well, for me, the easy stuff is here and on, looking at them and talking about them. The harder stuff and the more time-consuming is doing the form.
Right.
And that does take a long time. And you've got new horses and you're just researching how much they cost from which year, who bought them, where they've been trained, trials, things like that.
So you go that far back?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Well, my husband is, he's always been a very good form student as well. So we sort of work quite together with as far as the form goes. He does his own, I do my own, and then we sort of chat about it.
Notes?
Yeah. And then, because quite often I can say, well, that horse looked terrible last start, or it looked fantastic, or it just needed a run and things like that. So we probably make a pretty good pair.
That's great. And do you spend what, 2 days before doing this? So it takes about two whole days?
Yeah, look, as soon as the form comes out, it's pretty much straight into it.
Let's go in.
And I love to play some sport. I'm quite sporty, so I'm pickleball and I'm golf and I'm tennis or whatever I can do. I like to swim and I like walk and all that sort of thing.
So you keep very active.
So in between all that, because otherwise you're just sitting at the desk doing it and you can spend hours and hours and hours on it, and I do, but I just, I like to force myself to get out there and then, make it a bit more compact as well.
Just go out there and work your body as well as your mind. And
Yeah.
it's one thing to sit there and focus on something,
Yes.
but it's a whole other feeling getting your mind, your body moving and sort of working together with that, right?
For sure, and obviously, health-wise, it's good too.
For sure.
So, yeah.
And how do you find your stress has been? Do you find that there are times that it's been stressful, like especially during the COVID time? How did you find that had an impact on you in terms of your work?
Oh, just having to get tested all the time, that was the only thing. But, the racing kept going and I was still working. And
so you actually came to the track?
Yes,
okay.
Yep, we were here every time. So for me, I was probably one of the lucky ones during COVID because just continued to work. We just had to test a bit more, that was all.
Right.
But no, it didn't really impact me. As far as stress goes, I've never been a really stressful person, I've got to say. Nothing really gets to me too much. I think the biggest thing is, what am I going to wear?
Right. I know, exactly. Right.
And I get to race
morning. I wore that dress,
and I'm like, oh God, what am I going to put on? Yeah, what am I going to wear? So that's probably the biggest stress for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did you find it affected you on a personal level with not being able to see your children? Like, did you travel? Could you travel here in Hong Kong? I don't know what had happened during COVID.
Well, everyone couldn't really travel, and we did do a couple of those stints where we spent 2 weeks in quarantine in Melbourne and then 2 weeks back and all that sort of thing. So we did go through that. That was tough, but everyone else was doing the same sort of thing. With our kids, they were born here, not born here. They were 3 and 1 when we arrived, so they did most of their schooling here. And then they went back for the last 3 years and did boarding. So we're sort of used to that, not seeing them so often, but we have great quality time, when in the break that we get. And we, normally do a big family holiday, so it's really lovely.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you would recommend to anybody that, like a young up-and-comer that wants to get into broadcasting or wants to get into media, with all the years of experience that you've had, which has been many, many years from Australia all the way through to Hong Kong, what would you recommend for somebody younger that wanted to get into this game and get into this industry and do something similar to what you do?
Look, I think obviously you really have to be totally passionate about horses, and about what you want to do. I think it'd be honestly an incredible waste of time working in a job that you don't like. So I was very lucky in that respect because it just sort of fell into place from my riding, and I was always going to be too heavy to be a professional jockey anyway. So when Channel 7 picked me up, it sort of just flowed on from there. I never got any training, and I did ask Channel 7, could you teach me something or what? And they said, no, just keep doing what you're doing. So, I can't talk on that, and I presume there's courses and things that you can take these days as well. But yeah, Channel 7 just said, keep doing what you're doing. We like what you're doing, do it. And I'm like, okay, well,
I think,
if I make a mistake, let me know, and whatever.
Just make a mistake on air. It's okay. We can just laugh it off.
It's just live.
Yeah, it's just live. Exactly. And I think that what I find now, it's harder for the younger generation because people have such an expectation. You've got to go to university, you've got to get this degree in
Yes.
marketing, you have to get this degree in, broadcasting. And we were kind of lucky in a lot of ways because we were good
Yes.
persons or people. And I think that that's also part of it. I think if you can connect with people,
Yes.
and people can see that you're talented,
Yeah.
I think it was easier for us on that. Not to say that it was an easy job to get it,
Yeah.
or easy to get in, but I think it was easier for us because they didn't need that education and they didn't need that as a necessary thing to get into that
You didn't
line
need the
of work.
form guide
No.
saying, here's your
This
results.
is what I've done,
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, I suppose, for me, winning a couple of jockeys premierships, or lady jockeys premierships, I should say, was, my starting thing. But for that, you don't need a degree, you don't need anything. You just need to be good at what you do as such to
right.
achieve that, I suppose.
Yep.
So it's just, I was very lucky with Dad having the racehorses. The one thing for me, especially doing this job, I just had a great connection with horses. I loved to work them out. When I was a kid, knowing that they couldn't talk and working out what they like, what they don't like, how we can change this if they're nasty or mean and,
Right.
things like that. And I'd spend hours and hours with them. Yeah, and that was my thing. Just, trying to work them out.
Just to actually be with them, where it's tangible and you can touch
Absolutely.
them. Do you miss that being here?
I do.
Right.
That's the one thing I do miss. I'm close, almost within touching.
Almost can touch them, but no, not on race day.
But on race day, no. So
Do you ever get to go to the stables and have a poke around?
yeah, I do. And then I fall in love with them, and I'm just there.
Yeah. You can't get Jenny out of the yard. It's time
that's
to
right.
go.
Yeah. I find one that I like, and then that's it. I'm there.
Get hooked on it.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you ever thought about riding here in Beers River?
No, not really. I don't miss the riding side of it anymore.
Okay.
I did when I first stopped. That adrenaline rush that you get from riding in races, and that doesn't come back. Once it's over, it's over. So that was tough. Just that come down from that and trying to replace that with something as well. However, I got a very active young kid, so that made,
That made all the
Maxie was
difference.
running around, so that changed things there.
Yeah.
But that was a tough adjustment.
That's what I've heard. I've heard from a few people, even talking to Felix the other day, he had said that, when he stopped riding, he felt a little bit angry, like it really messed him up for a while,
Yes.
He said it took him about a year before he could actually watch racing and be excited for somebody else, as opposed to like, why am I not on that horse?
Yes.
Why don't I have that opportunity? So.
I totally get it, and I think a year is probably about the amount of time, minimum amount of time it takes for that. It's almost, I gather it's almost like a drug. Like you're so used to those highs and the excitement and the barriers and the noise and the fastness.
Yeah.
And then you
All of a
don't
sudden,
have it.
nothing.
Yeah. So
It's a smack.
you have to go like to Ocean Park on the thrill rides and things to get anything like that.
It's not quite the same, but still.
Not the same. You're not in control.
No, absolutely.